Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It's Marvin speaking. I hope everyone's having a lovely Sunday. I just want to go back to a video by The Sun, and it was Jay Slater's investigator reveals description of a mystery man who partied with Brit before he vanished. If I do pause the video, it's just to make a comment.
Key people to date that I have not spoken to, and these are the
So Mark Williams Thomas, for people who don't know, he's the private detective that went over to Tenerife to see whether he can get some information on the Jay Slater case.
two men that took Jay back to that holiday rental in the hills. Those two men have spoken to the police, but they are now back in England. I urge those two people to come forward, and I will give you a telephone number at the end to put out. I have only got a description of the one person because I don't have a photograph of the other person, and the information the young men are giving me in terms of it is very limited. But I can tell you the one guy, he's about 6 foot tall, he's quite stocky, he had a distinctive, fairly similar to myself, but it was bright orange wristband on, and he is black, and he's got quite short black hair.
Age?
Very difficult to tell, but I think he's probably around 30 to 40. Since I've been here and worked with the family, I spent yesterday with them and the night before. They are a very, very united family. They are very supportive. And their one mission, of course, is to find out what happened to Jay. They still live with the hope that Jay will return and that he is not safe, but still alive. They have themselves been out searching, and they put up pictures and posters, and of course they are responding to as many inquiries as they possibly can. The position for myself is that I've come over here to investigate. They have sat with me, and they have provided me with an in-depth insight into what has happened in the hours leading up to Jay's disappearance. I have to date been able to speak to a large number of witnesses who were with him or came across him during that period of time, and they have all been helpful. There are a number of those that are probably not entirely truthful, and I intend to follow up on those people further by cross-referencing them in relation to other witnesses. I need to speak to those people. Those people have crucial information. There will be you as well as many other people who are asking very pertinent questions in relation to why are they here, what were they doing, and why did they take Jay back to that holiday rental. I know the name of one of those individuals, his nickname. I do not know the name of the other person, but I do have a photograph of that one person. I do not intend to release that photograph yet, but if they do not come forward, I will release that information and ask the public to tell me who they are.
I do think, I mean, a lot of people have got, I suppose, a lot of not faith in basically MWT. I think he did do a reasonable investigation over there, and I do think he was actually probably told to leave by the Guardia Civil, basically, and others higher up as well. I do think that he talked to a lot of people about this case, and to be honest, him being there kind of early, I do think that he still has information which he hasn't shared. I remember, obviously, Debbie called him out through a newspaper that if he has something to say, then actually put it out there. But I'm just wondering whether if he did put it out there, it would have caused ructions, in that she probably knew more than was actually letting on, which is fair enough because she was scared, she was frightened, she'd been threatened, and she'd probably been told by the Guardia Civil not to say anything until this case is over and done with. I think Mark stepped on a few shoes in going out there, but I do think going back to the investigations and the people he talked to, I do think he talked to a lot of the friends who gave him information that were probably scared, shocked, And to be honest, in some ways, that's probably the best time to actually, sort of get people in the early days.
So I urge them to come forward before I do that. And the only reason I'm doing that is I believe they have crucial information that may enable us to find out what has happened to Jay. There are two scenarios as far as I'm concerned that's happened to him. He has either come to harm by his own accident up in the hills somewhere, but not directly by the rental some distance away, or there is a third party involvement. I cannot rule that out at the moment, and there is certainly an aspect that concerns me with regards to the drugs, which is definitely a fraternity that exists around here, and in the last 48 hours there is definitely information that gives rise for concern around the drug aspect of it. Young people over here, you only need to go down the strip, and in a matter of 30 seconds without getting in a car, you will be offered every single drug that you want, and that is a worry of over here. But at this present moment in time, the Spanish authorities are doing what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. The Spanish authorities have obviously rejected the help from the Lancashire Police. Lancashire Police have been very supportive of the family, have provided a direct contact, and Lancashire Police have said that at any stage the Spanish authorities want their help, they will be here and they will help, and they certainly have the experience to be able to do that. But the Spanish Police at this present moment in time have said, we do not want your help at all. And of course, as a direct result of that, they would see me as an extension of that. They're not happy that I'm here. I would say, put pride to one side. This is about finding Jay, and we need as many people as possible to get involved. And I would urge, as another appeal, not just to those two people, there are people out here who know more. There are people out here who have information, who have seen Jay, who had contact with Jay whilst he was here. If you were in those clubs on that evening or in the early hours of that morning, please come forward and tell us. You may be reluctant to pass that information to the police, but please use a hotline that we will circulate so that people can give us that information. I think the problem is that the starting point of this investigation for the Spanish authorities has been one of a missing person. I don't know whether that has increased or whether it's decreased. From a starting point, if this was in the UK, I would have started investigating as a critical incident, and I'd have done everything so that you can secure the potential crime scene or the last location, and then of course you can come back down. Once you've lost evidence, you've lost evidence. They are back in the UK. They may, out of freedom, come back if the Spanish authorities are.
The problem is, sorry about the phone, people. I had to switch the phone volume down. Sorry about that if you did hear one or two things. The thing is like I said, if it wasn't for Mark going out there, we may not have known Ayub or Rocky's name mentioned, or a few of the people's mentioned. So Mark did actually give us a few leads and put his name out there, and this is the only reason that basically Ayub, had talked to Mark, is because he was on to him and had a picture of him, what he looks like. So one of the friends must have shared the picture of Ayub. This is what makes me think, going back now, that Mark has a lot more information from people in the early days. I'm just wondering, even though he's a detective, they thought he was police and told him everything. But like I said, he couldn't disclose it because it wasn't on UK soil.
Asked them, but at this present moment in time I haven't had the opportunity to talk to them. I can talk about other witnesses who are instrumental, and there's lots of names being mentioned. Those people are cooperating fully and have said that at any stage, if the authorities want them to come back to Spain, they will do. He has either come to harm himself as a result of moving away from the area, so it's either I do not believe that he is in that close proximity to the rental. It's a very easy area to search. If he has come to any harm, it's either the other side of the lookout point, or it's a bit further down towards the town. It's one of those areas here, and then obviously the longer it goes on and the more days that pass and the continued search, because the police are searching very, very well. They've got mountain rescue, there's lots of people up there. He will be found. If he's not found, then of course it brings that that other element, which is the third party. I have received information. There is no doubt an underworld here. There is an undercurrent here. There is a big drugs fraternity. I can't tell you at the moment whether that has an impact. I've only been here for less than 48 hours. But what I can tell you is the information I currently have, and the family have shared everything with me, and I've got lots of messages, lots of WhatsApp chats and everything. That is a line of inquiry. So the two men were over here. They were in the bars, in and around the strip area. They were certainly there for 2 days. That we know definitely that they mixed with Jay and Jay's group of friends that were there. They spent number.
Don't forget that Lucy was saying that she didn't really know Ayub, and that technically that Jay met them over there, met them through basically just the clubs over there. I mean, sometimes we have to go back to the very start of this case and listen to information. Sometimes even I've slated Mark at the end of the day. I know he's been in and out of this case like a yo-yo, but I think he knows a lot more. And to be honest, I don't think he wants to throw people under the bus, although we should, and put the truth out there.
Of time in the bars drinking. They say that they drank Hennessy, which was their preferred drink, and there was one person who was a slightly bigger guy, was much more chatty than the other person. They were there. They didn't go to the festival. They didn't have an invite for the festival. They didn't have a ticket, so they didn't go to the festival. And they were with Jay on the morning, taking them back. What we don't know is why. And of course, the questions it raises is why, if you were partying here, do you go to a venue, a holiday let some hour away, which is in a really remote location? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know who they are at the moment, but my focus now is to find those people. I have a photograph of them, and I know that the power of the internet will very quickly, if I put that image out.
The thing is, what I want to know from Mark is who gave him those photographs. So if someone gave him those photographs, the people who did must have been suspicious of Ayub and whoever he was with. And, you know, if, like I said, they did see him being taken away, Jay taken away by some people, very, very suspicious, that is. And I think Mark looked up who Ayub was, obviously a convicted substance dealer. So it does make me think, looking back at this and Debbie calling Mark out, I'm sure that he wants to put it in his own words so no one gets hurt through this case, because of respect for the family. This is what I think. I do think at this moment in time, Mark knows way more than what he's letting him. I think, listen to this, actually probably someone told him everything.
We'll find them, but I'm giving them the opportunity to come forward. They are witnesses. They are nothing more than that. They are crucial witnesses, and I want to make sure that we secure that evidence in relation to what they've got to say and ask the pertinent questions which could give answers to what's happened. Jade had enjoyed himself that night. They'd consumed quite a bit of alcohol that morning.
It's funny, I've always said this, why does most of the tabloids, the Sun, the Daily Mail, many of the papers and sources online keep going back to this video as though it's a clue? I remember this being played over and over and over again on the internet as though it was giving us some kind of clue, and the papers, if they put it out that said something happened to you or could have happened to you, maybe they are liable to something if they put it out. And obviously the Guardia Civil, 100%, and the club, you know, and the managers and the directors are 100% hiding something.
When he left the club shut at 4 o'clock. He came out of the club. They sat outside on the wall for a short period of time, wandered around, trying to work out what they were going to do. Jade was during the course, I mean, many of you have seen the videos of him. He looked quite drunk at stages during the course of that. But when he comes out, I am told by people who spoke to him that he was quite in control of himself. So when he goes off with these two men, he is in quite control of himself. What we don't know is why he went with these two men. What was the purpose of that?
As we know, there was a lot of, I think, good information there. I do think Mark did a good job in basically getting Ayoub to come out. Unless we would have never known who he probably was, and the Airbnb wouldn't have been such a massive story if Ayoub wasn't there. And I think sometimes the early information is very, very important. I'd love to know where basically he got all that information from. And I do think a lot of maybe Jay's friends who were worried about him, maybe not your Lucys, your Brandons, but other friends that were actually with Jay, had told Mark everything, and this is why they've gone so quiet, because they've given this information, and maybe Mark has basically passed it on to police, but we haven't heard anything yet. So we move on to Mark Williams talking on the last month, 14th for the 10th. Let's get straight into this.
Now back on social media, I took a small break, and one of the questions that I got asked lots and lots through direct messaging, because my direct messages are open, was an update in relation to Jay Slater. I went out, did the investigation, worked very closely with the family, and as a result of that got a lot of information, but also a lot of information from potential witnesses, people involved, people who knew Jay, and also from the authorities in a roundabout way. They weren't directly talking to me, but I was in contact with people who were in contact with the authorities.
It sounds like to me, a lot of people in the early days did really talk to possibly UK police as well. And was this one of the reasons why British police were asking about Brad, basically Brandon and Lucy as well? Because I've heard that come up lately a few times as well. Could they have thought that they may be involved or basically lying about what happened to Jay? That is one of the thoughts I've actually got in me, thinking that there may be further investigations going on behind the scenes. But you would have thought by now one of them would have been at least interviewed or investigated, you know, or information come out that someone has been arrested for, you know, covering up a lie of someone's murder, technically.
And one of the things that's very clear is, of course, there's a huge amount of misinformation. I've been back and looked through some of the videos that I took. So when I went out there, I took a lot of videos in relation to my investigation, but also thought processes of whilst that investigation was going on. And one of the interesting aspects of it is, as is always the case for every investigation, is you find information out and you look at that, and then a couple of days later that information changes or it's evidenced in some way. And it's quite interesting. Some of the information that came to me in the very early days wasn't accurate, wasn't correct, and I needed to validate. And I was in a unique position because of course I had access to the family, had access to mobile phone records, I had access to friends. And in fact, all of the friends communicated with me. There wasn't a single friend who stepped away and didn't want to communicate. And they all had their own story to tell, and obviously they all had concerns, some of them, because of what they were up to and their involvement. But they all participated, they all engaged with me, even to the point of the two males who went back with Jay to their apartment. You know, one of them was in real contact with me. I was talking to him, he was providing me a lot of information. The only person I didn't get to speak to was the other male that was with him. But everybody else that I needed to speak to, I did speak to. So, where's this going? Well, I've spoken in the last few days to Debbie. She had a long conversation with me, very pleasant. We got on very well. There's no issue with that at all. And in fact, she really struggled during this period of time, and rightly so. You know, she's a mother who's lost a child, and not just that, but was in the eye of the media storm. This was an inquiry case that hit the headlines, not just in the UK, but actually worldwide. People became fascinated and it took on a life of its own. And as a result of that, lots of conspiracy theories, lots of people with their own views in terms of what happened. But I had the uniqueness because I was literally in the heart of it, able to establish information from different parties, collect that information, and then look to see what evidential value it had. I was very clear from day one that this looked like a tragic accident, but of course I needed to investigate it, and I remained open-minded throughout the whole of that investigation and was very clear that actually...
The thing is, I got from this second interview is that he's going with the narrative, and that in the first interview with The Sun, he was very, very suspicious of a third party involved in Jay Slater's disappearance. And I think one of the main sort of subjects he thought that was involved was AYUP, and alarm bells started ringing. Obviously he's an ex-police or ex-CID, and I think when he probably looked at AYUP, he was actually thinking there's more to this than meets the eye. And the other thing is AYUP was saying, and Rocky, when MWT said he was going to come back out and say something, they tried to say that he doesn't know anything and that he's lying about a few things. He doesn't know as much as what he makes out he does. But I do think that some of the information that was shared with Mark William Thomas could be crucial in this case, but I hope it doesn't come out in the documentary. I would rather him just come out with it, even if he has to throw a few people under the bus to get this out. Sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind, and if it's the truth and we get more results on what happened to Jay, a timeline, I think is very, very important. That MWT does come out and give us that, and not in a documentary where it's actually played down.
Whilst there were considerable issues that existed, and I haven't revealed the details of all those issues, and exactly, you know, kind of why Jay left in the manner he did, why he didn't want to return, you know, those things I've kept to myself at this present moment in time. And maybe when the time is right, I will reveal those. I've got to be very careful. What I don't want to do is upset the family any more trauma than they've already had. And so it would be something that I would work very closely with Debbie and the family to reveal that information. And maybe the time will be right soon to be able to do that, but not right now. So I hope you respect me in relation to that. I'll give you some more updates, not just in relation to the Jay Slater case, when that's ready, but also some of the other cases I'm dealing with. I've got a fascinating case where I've tracked down a wanted individual in another country. And the question is now, can I get to that country and confront him? It's a dangerous country. And at this present moment in time, the suggestion is that it's too dangerous to go to. But he's wanted in the UK. I've tracked him down. I've found him. He was convicted in his absence. So I want to go and confront him and actually put that out there in the world so everybody knows what this guy is about. You never know. It may force the authorities there to get him to come back, or at least, at the very least, it will show that the authorities, are separate to them but haven't given up. And for the victims out there, it also shows that they haven't been forgotten. Anyway, more on that. I'll give you a specific update just in relation to that. But until then, enjoy your day and look after yourself.
That was Mark Williams Thomas. And someone in the comments, this was interesting, Danny, it sort of caught my eye. He's on about Sam Walker. Very, very interesting, because obviously Sam Walker's been brought up a few times in that what he's heard that happened to Jay Slater, which I've actually talked about on one of my videos. Someone said, "Hi Mark, was his phone ever found? And if so, where did they find it? He can't tell what's true or not, as there's so many different stories about whether it was found or not." There is a reply. Clearly it was. He had it. How do you know? There are people saying it was found with him. It was found at the beach, and others saying it was never found. And you certain it is with him? Interesting. Very, very interesting. But like I said, all these things, it needs to be sort of brought out by MWT, bring it out into the light, and so people have an understanding in what he does know. And I think he shouldn't just keep everything in and should put stuff actually out there, what he does know. I do think Abe and possibly Debbie are wondering what other information he's got. I do think people were actually probably shocked Jay went missing and have said a few things that were going on in the meantime. And it does make me think, especially with the first investigations, there's a lot more going on, or there's a lot more we don't know that I think the public should know, to be honest with you. Let me know what you think, people, on MWT. Will he come up trumps, or will he just go with the narrative and just cash in on the case? Just going to move on to...
It's kind of mental, he said, basically. He also states that he knows Jay through friends. Do you think he means Lucy? Allegedly. He said that he knew Jay through friends, so he wouldn't just let a randomer stay around. It's also been confirmed that it is the guy that was involved in related activities, if you know what I mean. Apparently a property in Cardiff got raided and they found a load of money, they found mobile phones, they found a lot of things. He said that there was no arguments, nothing happened,
So I just want to say Miss Little Vodka was on the case a long time before myself, and she come up with some really good points. And I thought this was quite kind of interesting what she actually said here.
Gave Jay a blanket to sleep with. Nothing happened. Now, one of the questions I have is, I thought he had a hotel that he was going back to. What does he mean he had nowhere else to go? Also, second question is, this just only further makes me speculate on how well Lucy and this guy knew each other, with the whole situation that was involved in Cardiff. He also states that he knows Jay through friends. Do you think he means Lucy? Allegedly. He said that he knew Jay through friends, so he wouldn't just let a randomer stay around. So he said that he spoke to the Spanish police, and the Spanish police have told him not to speak to anyone. He then says that he hasn't spoke to Mark, you know, the detective guy from the UK, because he doesn't have jurisdiction over there. So he hasn't done anything wrong, so he doesn't need to speak to him.
He must have had some kind of contact with MWT, because obviously this Little Miss Vodka was talking sometime in early July. At the end of the day, I believe Mark did talk to Quassim, and he gave his side of the story, which probably Lucy, Brandon and Brad did as well. But obviously my point is, did others say something different because they didn't want to go with that narrative and really cared about Jay? This is the information we need to know from MWT if he talked to as many people as he said that he did.
He said everyone knows each other, we're all good friends. He said that Jay's a sound guy, he's pretty cool, we get on, I get on with him, he gets on with me. So yeah, very interesting.
So my point is a lot of this now is on MWT. I mean, when I said, will he cash in on it? Because there's obviously a lot of people are going to be looking at this documentary. Will a professional organisation be involved, or will he just go it alone and tell us what he actually does know? I think now we've got nothing to lose now, and the information, you know, that he says more, I think he should put it out there, and I think Ayub is not going to put it out there because he's just going to give us a narrative and put it in a different way, and maybe talk about his music and what he does, but it's just not trustworthy. And so I think if anything good is going to come out with it, is some damning evidence we need very quickly before this inquest report comes out. Or I do think that this case is just going to blow away, and we come as far as we can as sleuths in investigating it. And obviously the people that are involved basically are free to do whatever they want and may get arrested in the future for other things. But I always think that they should have been stopped way before, and some of them shouldn't even be out there roaming the streets. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and let me know what you think, people. Thank you. Does MWT hold the key, or is he another one that is basically sold up to earn lots and lots of money by discussing this case? Thank you.